So till last session, we discussed about what are the different types of testing concepts theoretically, and we have also seen a project, how a real-time project looks like. So we have covered testing concepts theoretically, and we applied them practically by doing a project. Now that, and we also covered how the complete STLC will be, complete life cycle of testing. So we covered that. That whatever we covered comes under like traditional testing, or we can call it as waterfall model. And nowadays companies rarely use waterfall model, and like nowadays everyone is using agile methodology, agile process. So what is agile process and how it works, we'll see in today's session. So our topic for today's session is agile process. So what is agile process? As mentioned, so nowadays no one is following traditional process of STLC, but designing the scenarios. If you come to testing life cycle, designing test scenarios, writing test cases, so test execution, test environment setup, everything will be same, but there will be a difference in something that we are going to see in agile process, how the agile process works. So it's about the process. So the task, whatever we do, the activities, that still remains the same with respect to testing or development, but the process changes. How we did till now, that will be changed in agile process. So with that, let me start what agile process is. So agile is an approach to software development where requirements and solutions evolve through the collaborative effort of self-organizing and cross-functional teams and their customer user. So what does that mean is, so in agile, so there will be a team where we will not call, though we have both developers and testers as one team. So till now we used to call as a development team and then QA team, right? So here what we can call this team is, this team we will call it as a team, like we can call this team as Scrum team in Agile. And how this work is, so developers QA work as one team. So there is even though for our understanding we are calling them as separately developer and QA, it is called as one team. So they both parallelly work. Till now, what happened, once the entire development life cycle is done, then comes the testing life cycle. So that's how we used to do, right? So here also it will be the almost the same, but development and QA will be working collaboratively and will be working in parallel. So here in Agile, what happens is, even sometimes dev actually takes the activities of QA as well. So if according to the bandwidth, if QA has less bandwidth, dev also takes the tasks of the QA, and QA also sometimes helps dev. So it all works as one team. So there is no dev and QA. We don't call it as dev and QA. We call it as one team, that is Scrum team, and that goes, the activities goes in parallel, unlike waterfall model where we have in sequence we go, and then only after that testing is done, right? So unlike that, in Agile what it does is software development goes in parallel according to the requirements. So that's how Agile works. So the main difference between waterfall model and Agile model is, so it is in concurrent, it's in serial it goes waterfall model, but in Agile model it goes in parallel. And we only have like one team, we will not categorize into developer and a QA team. So all that belongs to one team, and how these Scrum teams are decided is that we'll see now, how we can call one team as a Scrum team. We'll see that now in coming in few minutes. So here if you observe, like till now what we used to have, we used to have like requirement, brought by the business analyst. So business analyst is the one who gets the requirement from the customer according to the requirement. Like SDLC starts, and the first step is like a requirement analysis. Then we do design. After design is done, implementation part. After that, testing is done, and after that, deployment or like maintenance phase. This is what we used to follow. Now in Agile, what happens is, so first thing is like Epic. So here the business analyst is called product owner. Business and we should not be calling from now onwards business analyst. It's product owner who gets the requirement from the customer according to the business needs, and that requirement, a huge requirement, is called an epic. So what is an epic? It is also a requirement, but here we should be calling them as epic in the agile terminology, which is actually a huge requirement. A huge requirement is called an epic, and then from that huge requirement, what we do is we actually break down that huge requirement into some smaller requirements that we call it as stories. This is all like agile terminology. So epic is a huge requirement which is brought by the product owner from the customer according to the business need. And then this huge requirement is broken down into some smaller requirements. And each piece of smaller requirement is called one story. We call it as one story. This is again a requirement, but broken down into some smaller requirements. The huge requirement is broken down into smaller requirements, and each such smaller requirement is called one story. And these stories will be picked up by the teams, Scrum teams, and to achieve this story or a smaller requirement, task will be divided. So task can be like development task or QA task. So all these the task will be divided, like tasks will be created for each story to achieve the or to complete this story. So story is a smaller requirement. So to achieve this smaller requirement, so we have development and QA team working as one team, Scrum team, we call that as Scrum team. And to actually achieve or complete the story, that to achieve that, so some task will be created. So that can be again like divided into development tasks and QA tasks. And those tasks, using those tasks, we track the work or the activities by the any developer or QA. Once all the tasks for the story are done, then we mark the story as done. So a smaller requirement is done. Likewise, we are actually complete each and every story. So one story will be picked up, and then so for that story, what are all the tasks required? Tasks to be created by the developer or a QA will be created, and all these tasks should be completed, tracked. So it will be tracked, it will be completed. Once all these tasks for any picked up story is completed, then we say that a story is completed. So let me put that into notes. So what's a epic? Epic is a huge requirement or a high level requirement. From product owner. And what is a story? Story is a smaller requirement. Smaller requirement which comes from the epic. And we can take as an example. Let's take an example. So epic, what we can say example for an epic is, so as a user, I want to have online insurance application. So this is the high level requirement or huge requirement. If you observe, there is a company or organization, insurance organization, where they don't have the online application to manage all the activities which belongs to the particular domain insurance. So they come up with a requirement, and the product owner takes the requirement, which is a huge requirement. That is, the insurance organization needs the entire activities to be managed as a online. So everything should be made online is the requirement. But if you see this, this is itself is like huge requirement. As a user, I want to have online insurance application is a huge requirement. So we call this as an one epic, and this epic should be divided into smaller requirements. Like how can we divide this into smaller requirements? Example, we divide them into stories. Say for example, as a user, maybe once we develop the application, I want to log in into the application. Can be one story. As a user, I want to have online insurance application will be huge requirement. It is in generic and a higher level requirement if you observe. And this epic is divided into smaller requirements, which we call it as each smaller requirement. We name it as a story. So if you observe what can be one story for this epic is, as a user, I want to log into the application is one story. Likewise, what can be other story? As a user, maybe after like login, I want to check all policies which I am registered for or which I am enrolled for. Likewise, so any other, so we can divide like any other stories as well. As a user, I want to actually check what's the maturity value for my insurance policy. So as a user, I want to check how many term policies I paid till now. As a user, I want to check how many term policies till I need to actually pay for the insurance for my insurance policy. All these types of requirements are like can be considered as one story. So all these stories together is called as one epic. So likewise, we have, if you observe, this can be like this, we can have n number of stories for one epic, and all these stories together becomes one epic. And these stories to implement one story, let's say for example, we wanted to implement first story. Let's take first story. To implement this first story or to actually develop and test complete this story, complete this story. What is a story? It is a smaller requirement. To complete this story, we need to have some task created. So each story will have tasks, and tasks again or can be dev tasks. So what can be the dev tasks for this story? So requirement gathering or requirement understanding, design, maybe design for the story, coding, development team does unit testing, integration testing, and if there are any tasks, that also will be like divided as a task by the development team. Likewise, what are the QA tasks? QA tasks can be like again requirement understanding, test scenario, writing test scenarios, writing test cases, getting them reviewed, test environment setup. All these are different active tasks by the QA. Test environment setup, test execution, and reporting bugs, and running regression cycles, automation scripts, writing automation scripts, running the automation scripts on multiple builds. All these comes under QA tasks. So if you observe, these are the dev tasks and these are the QA tasks. So for one story, we need like this many tasks to be completed. by both the development team and QA team. Once we are done with all these tasks, so we can say that we are done with one story. So these are common for any story. If you pick up one story, you should be doing, we should be completing all these tasks, which are all comes under development, and some tasks comes under QA team. Only when we complete all these tasks, we can say that this story is completed. And again, there will be some exit criteria for this that will be written in the inside the story. So inside the story there will be something written by the product owner. So all these will be prepared by the product owner. Remember that. So epic is a requirement which product owner gets from a customer, and also dividing this epic into smaller requirements, that is dividing an epic into stories, will also be done by the product owner. And from there, creating the development tasks will be the development team's activity, and dividing the in completing the story. So what are all the tasks required will be done by the respective development team, and QA tasks will be done by the respective QA team. So this is how it works. And once all these tasks are done, we can say that a story is done according to some acceptance criteria provided for each story by the product owner. So mostly the acceptance criteria will be like for any story, the common acceptance criteria is there should not be any P1 or P2 bugs in open state. This is the acceptance criteria usually by default any product owner expects. If there are no P1 and P2 bugs in open for this story, then we can say that this story is completed, and this story can be actually released to the, and this will be demoed to the product owner by the QA team. And once product owner satisfies with the demo, then this will be released to the this piece of not only one story, we can pick up like one or more stories, and these stories will be, once all these stories are like completed, then all the set of stories again that will be decided by the product owner, that will be released to the customer. So even though we didn't complete all the stories, n stories, a part of the requirement which is divided into some stories can be also given to the customer, and customer actually starts UAT, user acceptance test. So that we know. So from there, like we'll get the feedback from the customer. So this is how it works. Like the agile at a high level, this is how it works. So the first step is product owner gets the epic, which is a huge requirement, and this requirement will be divided into stories, which we call it as smaller requirements. And this is also done by product owners. And for each story to be implemented, both development and QA team work together, and they have their own tasks. So on completing their task, this story will be said to be completed. This is the process we follow at a high level in Agile. Now let's go back. So that's the reason we can see it here. Epic. It actually says why. Why is in the sense what's the requirement? Defines the business needs. And what needs to be implemented. So defines here defines the customer needs. And task. So task actually usually defines how to implement this requirement. So you can see it defines the solution. This is about epic, story, and task. Now coming to the Scrum roles. What are the Scrum roles? So we in Scrum or Agile process, we have 3 roles. Let's start with product owner. So if you observe, just now we mentioned about product owner. So product owner is one who actually gets the requirement from the customer. So we'll not call that as a requirement here actually, epic. Who gets the epics from the customer and actually divides that epics into stories. So also product owner mentions the release dates, timelines, and prioritizes the features or stories. Let's say for example, there are like 10 features for an epic, like 10 stories. Then product owner, it's product owner's decision. So which stories to be implemented at what timelines. Say for example, we have like 4 months of time to complete all these 10 features. In this case, like we wanted to implement all these 10 features within the timeline of 4 months. And this timeline we get it from product owner, and also so product owner decides at what period of time which features to be implemented. This will also be decided by the product owner. So that's what we call it as prioritizing the features. And product owner actually might maybe the plan is to release some number of features in some particular period of time, but it's like up to the product owner who can actually change the priority according to the customer requirement, according to the market requirement, that the requirement can be changed or prioritized. So that decision will also be taken by the product owner. So that's the role of product owner. So product owner plays a major role. If you observe, the requirement will be product owner gets the requirement from the customer. Time schedules, timelines will be decided by the product owner. He also, like product owner also prioritizes the features, when which feature to go at what time, and also finally project owner should be deciding like which features to be accepted. Like once all the tasks are done for a particular story, QA team demos that story to the product owner, and product owner either can accept the story or can reject the work results. So based on the demo, product owner will decide whether it is the exact requirement matching with the whatever customer ask is it matching with the outcome of the demo, is what product owner verifies. And project owner either can accept the outcome or can reject the outcome. And if it is rejected, so again it will go back to like it will go back and it has to be redesigned, or it has to be reworked according to the input given by the product owner. So these are the different roles of the product owner. And Scrum team. So we have a role of Scrum team, if you see here. And Scrum team consists of developers and QA team. So though we call it as different like developer team and QA team, so we usually call it as a Scrum team. So inside that maybe there can be some people working on the development and some people working on QA as a QA, but as a whole we call it as a Scrum team in Agile. So we should not be calling development team and QA team, all work together here. So we call it as a Scrum team. One team, Scrum team. So internally they create tasks how to implement the stories and complete their tasks. But as a whole, the team itself is called as a Scrum team. So how they are divided is, say for example, there are some stories. Let's say for example there are some 2 stories. So maybe 3 developers are working on first story, and maybe 2 QA is required to validate this story. So this team will be called as one Scrum team. And there can be another story. I'm just giving an example. This can be one or more stories even here. And there can be, let's say for example, one story two. Let's say for example, there are 2 development and 2 QA working on this story. So this will become another Scrum team. So this is what we mean by a Scrum team. So in this case, we will only call it as one Scrum team. We will not actually calculate or call it as a development team or QA team, as this team will have like no relation with this team, as these two might be two different modules altogether or two different requirement. So this is what we mean by a Scrum team. And the role of Scrum Master. So who is called Scrum Master and what's the role? So Scrum Master's role is mainly, so its Scrum Master role is not a development. Scrum Master is not QA. Scrum Master is not a product owner. Scrum Master is not even a manager even, but who focuses on the entire agile process. A Scrum Master need not have any technical knowledge, but one who focuses on the entire agile process is called as a Scrum Master. Like all we have some timelines in place, so all the are the timelines on track or not. So also ensures that uh, the goals, the scope which we had, and the product domain are all as the product domain, everything is understood by everyone in the team or not. So conducts the review meetings, scrums, all these planning meetings, sprint planning meetings, sprint retrospective meetings, all this we'll see in few minutes. All these are the roles of Scrum Master. So to keep it short, so Scrum Master is responsible for the entire agile process. So are there any impediments following this process? So how to improve it if there are any impediments? So are we going on track with the timelines or not? So are there any meetings required between any two teams? So how like making sure the teams are working collaboratively or not, like conducting the review meetings. All these kind of activities will be done by the Scrum Master. So that's the role of a Scrum Master. So very important role. Who makes sure the entire if the entire agile process is going fine or not is called as a Scrum Master. And Scrum Master may or may not have the technical knowledge. Who focuses mainly on the process. So we can say here like product owner is like who is responsible on the product, and Scrum Master who is responsible for the process. Product owner makes sure that the requirement for the product is clear and precise, and the product which is going out, like which is implemented, validated, and is going to be released to the customer, is that how the product look like will be taken care. The whole responsibility of the product will be on the product owner. And to implement this product, like to actually develop this product, test it, this entire process. So for this we actually follow this agile process, and this entire agile process, so is it going fine or not? So that responsibility will be on Scrum Master, how the process is going on. So the responsibility of the process is on the Scrum Master. And we have anyway have Scrum team who actually makes this, like following this process, who actually completes this product, like starting with the requirement analysis, or starting with understanding the stories, and completing all tasks till providing demo to the product owner and releasing the stories to customer. All these tasks, the actual tasks, will be done by the Scrum teams. So there are only three roles in Scrum or agile process. So if you observe, product owner, Scrum Master, and Scrum team. These are the only three roles. We will not be having like project managers or QA managers. No management will be there usually in agile process. Only these three are the roles in Scrum. Now we'll understand, or let me take notes here. So what did we understand? Scrum roles are, we have product owner who is responsible for the getting the requirement. Scrum Master, responsibility of agile process, and we have Scrum team consisting of dev and QA. These are the different roles we have in Scrum. Now we'll discuss about DO, definition of ready and definition of done. So DOR represents definition of ready and DOD represents definition of done. So what is that? We'll see that now. So what does definition of ready is? So is the story is clear? We see that is the story is also called as a user story. Just remember that. So user story, is that clear? User story, is it testable? Is it feasible? Is it well defined? Is acceptance criteria defined by the product owner? Are there any dependencies for this story? Is development team sufficient enough to implement the story? Scrum team, is it accepts the UX artifacts? So we when we actually working on the project, we discussed on this. So there will be some UX design team who actually give some wireframes, or we call that as wireframes. Those are like a sample UIs, how the UI is going to look like, and using that UI developers actually start developing the UI for the application. So that we will be taking care here. Is that ready, or and performance criteria, is it identified, and scalability, security criteria, and person who will accept the user stories. So who is going to be working on the user story? His team has a good idea, and what is the meaning of giving demo to the uh, product owner? All these has to be in place before we start working on any story. That we call it as DOR. Meaning of DOR is definition of ready. So what is definition of ready is related to a story. If a story is clear, is it testable, or does the story has the acceptance criteria? Are there any dependencies, and are those identified and addressed? All those, all these activities related to the story are ready or not before like we start actually working on any story. So this has to be taken care, and this is called as DOR, or definition of ready. Next comes definition of done. So once we are done with like development team or QA team has created their own task to implement the story, to complete the story, development within the Scrum team. So they are assigned, a Scrum team has been assigned a story, and this story to be completed, development team has to work on that story. So there will be some task by the created by the development team, and in the same way there will be some task created by the QA team for completing one story. So are all these tasks done to say that story is completed? So that is what comes under definition of done. So if you see here, there are like different criteria again when we should be calling it as done. So is code produced, code implemented, and code commented and checked in into the repository, peer reviewed. So there has to be peer review for the code. So is that done? And is the build is the whole project is getting built without any syntax errors? And are the unit tests written by the development team are all passed or not? And is the build which is provided by the development team deployed to the QA environment, and all the tests either they are passed or not? This has to be verified. And is the UAT testing done and signed off like according to the meeting requirements? So are there any requirements on the deployment or the installation? If there are any major changes, are they documented or not? Is there any relevant documentation? And if required, are there any diagrams according to the requirement or not? Are there any remaining hours for the task, so which are not set to 0? All this has to be verified before we conclude that a story is done. So this is what we call it as definition of done. So only after all these are done, we can say that a story is done. So that's how we define the definition of done. So what do we mean by definition of ready and definition of done is, definition of ready is, to keep it simple, there are some prerequisite on the story which should be ready. Like as it is a prerequisite, is the story ready? So for that, these are the criteria to be taken care. If all these are satisfied, then we can say that a story is ready to be implemented. This is what the definition of ready is. And when do we call a story as done? So that we can for that we can see the criteria for the definition of done. What's the definition of done criteria? So we can see it here. All the activities mentioned here. So if all these are covered, are done, then we can say that the story is done. So it is completed. So before we say that any story is done, we have to make sure that this entire criteria is met or not. So to keep it simple, we can say like that, and that is what we call it as definition of done. And before we go to that, let me explain you at a high level how a Scrum process, the end-to-end it works. That I'll be explaining you now. So let's say, for example, we have product owner. So what's the job of a product owner? So product owner gets the epics requirement from the customer, and product owner actually divides the epic into stories. So where does product owner gets the requirement from? Product owner gets the requirement from customer, and product owner define according to the requirement product owner gets from the customer. The specific requirement will be divided into, like if it is huge requirement, it will be called as an epic. So each huge requirement is divided as one epic, and in turn, like, each epic will be broken down into smaller requirements called stories, and this is done by the product owner, is what we discussed till now. And like how does the product owner does that is, so whenever actually a product owner creates an epic or creates a story, so that we call it as product backlog. This is the term we use. So this is what we call it as product backlog, which has the epics and stories defined by the product owner. We call that as product backlog. It can have epics and stories. And to implement this product backlog, like epic, and epic is divided into stories, and these stories has to be picked up by the Scrum teams to implement these stories. So for that, how the development team or both development team and QA team works is, so say for example, we took like 4 months of time, the entire features or the entire epic has to be done. So we have like 4 months of time, and so this specific time will be divided into sprints. We call it as sprints or iterations. We call them as either sprints or iterations. Let me put it here. Sprint, or we call it as iteration. And usually this time will be 2 to 3 weeks. Each sprint will be of 2 to 3 weeks. And what the development and the QA team does is, within these 2-3 weeks of time, whatever stories can be picked up from the product backlog will be picked up, and within this sprint of time, 2 to 3 weeks, that stories which are all committed will be implemented within this time frame. Likewise, we have this is we call it as sprint 1. Likewise, we'll have sprint 2, sprint 3. Likewise, till like how many sprints we can have within this time frame, we'll divide that whole time into sprints, and each sprint, remember, it can be in between 2 to 3 weeks. So it either can be 2 weeks, or each sprint can either be 3 weeks. And within that sprint, before the sprint itself, there will we'll decide which stories has to be picked up for each sprint, and within that sprint, that stories has to be completed. And uh, by the time the sprint is completed, the story should be completed and should be given demo to the product owner, and only then we'll move on to the second sprint, and the process again continues. So picking up the stories, defining the task, working on the task, closing the task, providing the demo to product owner, everything remains same. And that's how like each sprint will be for if you observe here, each sprint, in each sprint we are going to complete one story end to end, like one feature completely, and also we'll be providing that to the customer. If you observe, we are done with the demo to product owner, and also we can be providing that particular story to customer once we are done with the particular sprint. So what happens with this is, even before you complete this entire time period which was treated as a deadline by the customer, within that itself, like even half of the time, we are actually providing the requirement by the customer. So we are actually within the time frame itself, we are providing all the features. And if you observe, not even within, like even for the starting with the first sprint itself, we are trying to uh, give back the features for the UAT, to have the UAT by the customer. So this is the main advantage. Instead of actually taking the uh, entire 4 months and releasing the entire product as which contains all the features. So the entire product, instead of actually having all the features in the product and providing that at the end of like the timelines by the customer. So we provide as a smaller requirement to the customer even, and get the earlier feedback. And for this, like this is what like a sprint or sprint planning will be, and we'll discuss that now in detail, how it works and how what are all the who are all will be involved on that, that will be discussing now. So but this is like high level we should be knowing. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. And now if you observe here, product owner, so you can see this is the Scrum framework starting from beginning to end. So let's go through this now. First of all, the responsibility is on product owner, as the product owner is to he is who gets the requirement from the customer, and that requirement is called as, if it is huge requirement, we call it as a epic, and this epic will be divided into stories. Epic will be divided into stories by the product owner, and that stories will be added to the product backlog, that we call it as product backlog. So if you go through the product backlog, it should have all the stories. For an epic, if you take an epic, what are all the stories that belongs to one epic will be present in the product backlog, and all these are like defined by the product owner. And then once we have the product backlog, there will be a release planning meeting where the discussion will be on the epics and the stories, and the story estimation will also be done there. So story estimation, so stories will be estimated. So estimation of stories, we call it as story points, and how story points are calculated is, we have something called Fibonacci series. So Fibonacci sequence, how do we get it is, it's a sum of previous two numbers. Say for example, let's start with 1 and 2. And then how we get the third number is, it is a sum of the previous two numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. And how do we get the next number 5 is, it is the sum of previous two numbers, 3 plus 2. Next, how do we get 8? 5 plus 3, 13, 8 plus 5. Like this, there will be the Fibonacci sequence, and story points will be decided based on the Fibonacci sequence. And remember, story points actually says about the complexity. It doesn't represent number of hours. So whenever we are saying pick up some number here, 8 or 13, so it is not saying about, it doesn't say about number of hours or number of days. It doesn't represent the that unit of time here. It only represents the complexity of the story. That's how a story point will be estimated. So based on the Fibonacci sequence. And if say for example, like someone, say for example, why who are all involved here is both development, while story points are estimated, both development and QA will be involved, as they are the one who will be working on that. So say for example, we have some story, and both development team and QA team, actually each individual team member will be giving their own estimations. So while giving the estimations for any story, so we take the help of like story points, and these story points doesn't represent either it's not a unit of time. It's like based on the complexity. And whenever someone is estimating the story, they should be taking into consideration the entire story. So if a development team member is estimating a story and is providing some number, say for example, providing some number 13, then development team member has to take into consideration like what's the complexity in development and what's the complexity on the QA. So both has to be like taken into consideration, and only then the estimation has to be provided for that story. Same is applicable for QA as well. So whenever QA is estimating, so any like QA in the sense that entire team doesn't give one number. So inside the QA team also there will be many team members, right? So each team member can actually provide one, can come up with one number in this Fibonacci sequence, just to mention the complexity of this story. Say for example, QA team feels like it's only 8 story points. Like the complexity of the story is 8 points. So which one to pick up now? Like 13 or 8? What's the estimation for this story? So in that case, the maximum one will be picked up. If it is, if the difference is only like if the difference is very less, say for example 8 and 13 in Fibonacci series are side by side, right? So in this case the highest one will be picked up. Say for example, if it is like the difference is huge, like if it is 8 and someone is showing up 21, so then in that case, like whoever is actually claiming the complexity more has to actually come up with a reason why they are giving it as more complex. What's the complexity involved in this? Or we can say and. So why someone is giving the complexity as very less? They have to come up with some reason. So in between, after some argument, or we can say like some debate on that, then finally both should come up with some number which is closer to this, either closer to this or either closer to the 8. So maybe they if convinced, they will actually go with 21, or actually who is estimating less, uh, if whoever is estimating less is convincing that it is not that much complex, then they will actually, this who is estimating more will actually change their decision and come up with some number. And finally, if the difference is only uh, side by side, only one, like if who one is estimating 8 and one is estimating 30, then like most of the time we go with the majority, and like if still there is like any tie between uh, the more number and some less number, and the difference is only 1 in the Fibonacci sequence, we'll go with the majority one. So in this case we'll be going with 13. That's how the story point estimation is done for each story in the release planning meeting. This is about estimating the stories. So the complexity of the story will be marked there. And sprint planning meeting. Sprint planning meeting is different again. So release planning is done now, and with the timelines given by the product owner, say for example 4 months is the timeline. So according to this timeline, so there has to be sprints divided, and this division is also is done by the scrum master, and in each sprint what are the stories to be picked up. So we have all the stories with the estimation points now. So we'll have a before a sprint is started, and sprint is started. So what will be done is, what are all the stories to be picked up for that particular sprint will be decided by the team. Like in that sprint planning team, mostly Scrum Master, the entire all Scrum teams will be involved. In this meeting, what is done is, what are all the stories to be picked up for that sprint will be decided, and that will be decided by the story points. So we already estimated story points for each story to be done, and we have some sprints divided now, and within these sprints some stories has to be picked up, and should be make sure like within all the sprints all the stories have to be delivered. So for that, like that's how the sprints will be divided, and already we estimated the stories. We have the stories estimated with the story points now. So according to the sprint, the if what are all doable in sprint one will be picked up and will be done within that sprint by dividing each. So that sprint can have, each sprint can have one or more stories. And again, like how it is done, like each story is divided into development tasks, QA tasks, and then they will be working on it within that sprint. That particular stories which are committed has to be delivered. So in any case, like say for example, if 3 features or 3 stories are committed and was able to do, let's say for example only 2 stories was done by the end of the sprint one, then there should be some proper explanation and reasons, and that should be justified as they were committed before starting of the sprint. So if it is justifiable, then those stories which were not done within that time frame will be moved back to the product backlog. So we need to understand here, some stories are picked up for committed for completing it in sprint one, but they are not actually done. They are not actually, some for some reason they were not able to be completed. Say for example, out of 3 stories only 2 were completed. So there has to be some proper explanation by the whole scrum team why that was not done within that sprint, as before the sprint it was planned to be done. So a proper explanation has to be given and justified, and then only then that story will be moved back to the product backlog. So that, and this process will be same for any sprint. Like once we are done with the sprint, so when do we say sprint is done? So we pick up the stories and work on each story by different scrum teams within that sprint. What are all committed should be done. So once done, like what's the criteria of done, just now we learned what's the definition of done. So all the tasks and should be closed for that story, and should be completed for the story, and should, and the common acceptance criteria is there should not be any P1 or P2 bugs raised for that particular story. Only then we call it as definition of done. And finally a demo will be given to the product owner, and if product owner accepts that, then actually it will be released to the customer, or we can say that sprint is done. And then next in the next sprint, like according to the story estimation, other stories will be picked up in second sprint, and the whole process continues again. So this is how it works. And coming to sprint backlog, what is sprint backlog? So there is a difference between product backlog and sprint backlog. So in the sprint backlog, whatever stories are committed to be completed in a particular sprint will be defined in sprint backlog. So we actually pick up some stories to be completed in a particular sprint that will be defined in the sprint backlog. But in product backlog, whatever stories, all the stories which are to be completed for this release will be defined in the product backlog. But stories committed for a particular sprint will be present in the sprint backlog. Next, task breakout. So we know that each story is divided into tasks. So it can be development task like design phase, implementation, unit testing, integration testing. All this comes under development task. And QA task can be like designing the test scenarios, writing test cases, preparing the test data, test environment setup, execution of test data, automation scripts. All this comes under QA task. So each story again is divided into tasks, and the particular task, like according to the task, each member of the Scrum team will be working according to their task. And for this, so you can see it here, like for this, usually there will be 2 to 3 week sprint. So we call sprint or iteration, and the size of that is, the timeline for that is either 2 week or 3 week, not more than that, or not less than 2 weeks. So it should be a minimum of 2 and maximum of 3 weeks. So either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is the sprint size. And for every 24 hours, there will be a daily Scrum meeting. And Scrum meeting for all the participants. So first of all, the Scrum meeting duration is of 15 minutes, and the participants are the Scrum team, Scrum Master, and product owner is optional. So product owner may join or may not join, not mandatory, but the Scrum team. So team members who are all involved in the Scrum, all the Scrum team members plus Scrum Master will be part of the Scrum meeting. And the most important thing here is it should be restricted to the duration of only 15 minutes, not more than that. So that too, why do we have Scrum meeting for every 24 hours or daily is just to discuss. So just to discuss if there are any impediments or blockers on any one of the tasks. So everyone has their own task in the Scrum team. They will be working on their own task. So are we able to proceed with according to the plan, or are there any impediments or blockers? So that should be confirmed in the Scrum meeting. That's the reason, even if there is a team of 10 to 12, the Scrum meeting should be completed in 15 minutes. So that's the reason even this is called a stand-up meeting. So everyone will in this meeting will be standing, and they will be it is like one round. Mostly they will be standing in a round, and each team member will be updating their status. Status in the sense it should not be in lengthy. So are you able to proceed with your task or not? If there are any impediments, what are the impediments, or what is the blocker, what is blocking for your task should be discussed. And if there are any blockers, and even the discussion should not go long, like one says a blocker, then immediately another should not actually discuss the solution for that issue and make that a long meeting. So that should not be done. So once someone listens, the entire team listens to the blocker or impediment, so then they might actually, someone might in the team might actually know, come across that blocker, or they might have the solution. Then they can just signal that that's what they already have experience on that, and they can help on that issue is what can be done. Or it's up to the Scrum Master, who actually can arrange some meetings to actually solve that blockers. To address that blocker, Scrum Master will take care and will discuss more on that blocker, and we'll actually talk to that particular team member after the scrum meeting, and we'll make sure that that impediment is addressed, so that with the scrum meeting of only 15 minutes, we were able to find if there are any blockers stopping us for the release. That is found, and it is not even lengthy, so it's only 15 minutes. Within the 15 minutes of time, we are able to find the like if everything is going according to the plan, or if there are any blockers will be discussed. That's the reason daily scrum meeting is very important. And the participants are, we already discussed that. So development and QA team, that is a scrum team, scrum master and product owner may or may not join the scrum meeting. So this is how like the entire sprint cycle will be going on. Daily scrum meeting, and if there are any blockers in the scrum meeting, scrum master will take care of that and will make sure that those are addressed in time. And then comes finished work. So when do we call it as a finished work? When the complete like all the tasks defined for the particular story are all completed and closed by the scrum team, and when the final demo, and also no P1 and P2 bugs should be in open state for that particular story, then the final demo is given to the product owner, all the stakeholders, product owner, QA and dev. So the demo will be given to everyone by the QA team, and it's up to the product owner. So product owner either can maybe can reject the design or the outcome, and in that case it has to be reworked and redesigned, or else like if product owner feels that it is according to the expectation of the customer, then product owner might accept the outcome. In that case, like that will be rolled out to the customer for UAT. That we call it as finished work. And at last we have sprint retrospective. So what is sprint retrospective is, once we are done with the one sprint, that is like a 2 to 3 week period, we call it a sprint, right? So once we are done with the sprint, so this will be taken care, like a retrospection meeting will be done, just to make a note of like what went well in this sprint, what didn't go well, like what went wrong, and how can we improve that areas will be discussed in the retrospection meeting. This is what is done at the end of each sprint. And once that is done, again sprint planning meeting starts. Planning meeting starts, and according to the estimation of the stories, some stories will be picked up to be done for a particular sprint. Again, that stories are divided into tasks. Stories are added to the sprint backlog. Every day we'll have daily scrum meetings. This thing continues again. So finally, once the story is done according to the definition of done, then the final demo will be given to the product owner. So this process is complete, is like a cycle which is like will be continued till all the sprints planned for that release are done. And this is how, like in sprints, the stories are delivered to the customer. And here, this what's the role of Scrum Master is, Scrum Master makes sure that everything is going according to the plan, according to the timelines, or if there are any challenges, how to address them. If the process is delayed, so it will be informed to the higher management. And Scrum Master also takes the metrics, like they have some burn down charts, like what's the bandwidth and what's the activities, what's the task we have and what's the bandwidth, are they actually balanced or not, uh, are are we going with like estimated plan or not. So if there is any huge difference between our planning and the actual timelines which we are going on, all these metrics will be taken, reports will be taken up by the Scrum Master, and that will be shared to the higher management. This is about like entire life cycle of a sprint or Scrum. So how Scrum works for one release. for one complete release. So just to recap, like product owner's responsibility is to actually fill up the product backlog, like come up with the product backlog, and Scrum Master then the team starts working on the stories and the according to the sprints. This sprint planning will be done by the Scrum Master, and the stories will be picked up according to the story points estimated for each story. And to within the each sprint, like daily, there will be daily Scrum meetings just to track how the progress of the stories or how the progress of the sprint is going on. That will also be done by the Scrum Master. And once we are done with all the tasks, a demo will be provided to the product owner. And finally, we'll have a sprint retrospective where we'll actually go through like the status or what went well for the sprint and what can be corrected, that can be addressed in the sprint retrospective meeting. This is all about like the entire Scrum framework is. This we are done story points, and now comes Scrum board. So once we are like decided with the stories for a sprint, so this is what we call it as a Scrum board, and each story is divided into some tasks. We know that, and these tasks can be at one of these statuses. So this is we call it as a Scrum board, and the tasks or the stories. If you observe here, there are some things in different colors. Like say for example, yellow is our tasks. So these tasks can be a QA task or a development task, and the Scrum board is maintained just to make sure that what's the status of each story or what is the status of the task. So according to this, we can easily track what's the status of the story or a task is. So if you observe here, there are like stories. If it is in to do is not yet started. Either it can be a story or a task. It is not started. In progress is it started. It is still in progress. It's work in progress. If it is at the testing phase, it will be moved to this column. And once the task or story is done, so then that can be moved to a done. So this done column. So that's how anyone can, looking at a Scrum board, can easily track the health of the sprint or the health of the stories. This is what we call it as a Scrum board. Here we will have all the stories, tasks, as well as bugs even. So bugs raised by the QA team, and who are all like whom that bug is assigned to. Everything will be here, so that we can easily track the like what's the status of each story and what's the status of each, where does each task fall into, at which state they are. That can be easily easily followed, or easily you can actually get the status of that particular story or task using the Scrum board. And if you see here, Scrum Master, so Scrum Master conducts the Scrum meetings and note down the challenges, blockers, impediments, if any, and addresses it according to the how it can be addressed. Say for example, if a QA task delayed, mostly QA tasks will be delayed due to the environment setup. There can be some huge environment setup for QA environment to be done, and that is delayed. So there was some plan, but according to that plan, it was not done. So the timeline was like completed. So but still the task was not done. That environment setup. So in that case, that becomes some blocker to the QA. So even though QA has the build, so but the testing hasn't been started. So in that case, Scrum Master should take responsibility and should actually inform others like how to address this type of issue. So maybe in that case, they'll talk to the hardware team and communicate with the hardware team to make sure that the environment is ready and is actually given back is assigned to the concerned QA team. And the product owner, is one who gets the actual requirement. So Scrum Master actually looks at the process. That's what we discussed. And if there are any challenges, that will be addressed by the Scrum Master. And product owner does actually gets the requirement and prepares the product backlog. According to the requirement, product backlog will be prepared by the product owner. And what does the product backlog has? It has an epic, and each epic is divided into stories. This is what we have it in the product backlog. And we know like a team. So what is the team? Scrum team. A Scrum team is one who organizes the task. So what does a product owner does? So product owner gets the requirement from the customer and prepares the product backlog. And what do we have in the product backlog? We do have the epic and epics, one or more epics, and each epic is divided into smaller requirement called stories. That is what we have in the product backlog, and that is the responsibility of the product owner. And finally, like team, Scrum team. Scrum team is one who actually organizes the task or who actually works on the task to be following this process, who actually achieves the goal. Goal here is requirement of the customer. And how do they, the Scrum team does or organizes this? By actually creating the task for each requirement or each story. That's how the Scrum team organizes the task and completes the stories according to the estimated plan. So now we'll see like what are the advantages of Agile Scrum. So releases are very fast. Definitely we can say one advantage is so releases are very fast. So earlier if we have like a 4-month project or a 5-month project, so all the requirements or all the features were used to be delivered only at the end of like this period. Let's say for example 4 months. Only after 4 months all the requirement used to be delivered to the customer. Now what happens? The releases are very fast as it's divided into sprints, and each sprint has some of the stories. So after each sprint, so we are sure that that is certified and it is working according to the expectation. So then that can be delivered to the customer end of the sprint. That can be delivered to the customer. So after each sprint, at least some of the stories can be delivered to the customer. And with this, what happens is we get an earlier feedback from the customer, so that even if the customer is not satisfied with the implementation or the design or the requirement how it was implemented, so then there will be less effort on the redesign. Definitely then we need to rework and redesign some things, right? So that can be less. So in the as a starting phase itself, we release in the sprint one itself, we release some stories and get the early feedback, right? So that we actually will be having less effort on the redesign. And we can see here requirements change can be accepted. So even if there are some requirement change also, so we can actually go back and redo some things easily. And so as all are participating in the Scrum meetings, so transparency would be maintained here. And each and every sprint we are delivering the customer, so we can maintain the customer satisfaction as well. So at each sprint level, we can actually get the evaluate the satisfaction of the customer, and we can actually correct if there are any issues or if there are if something has to be done, so that can be worked out early, so that we don't lose the customer satisfaction. So these are the main advantages of a agile Scrum. So these are the advantages of agile Scrum. Now let me show you an Excel sheet how it works. So this is how a product backlog looks like. So we learned like product backlog has epic and it has like user stories. It is divided into stories. So a typical product backlog looks like this in a file. So what's the project name? Who are all the stakeholders, customers, who are all the users? So that will be mentioned here. And who is creating this backlog? So whoever is the product owner, name of the product owner will be written here. Then product owner's responsibility is to define the epics and user stories for that, right? So you can see here an epic. This is an example. So for a new e-commerce website to launch, the highest business value will be when a new user is able to buy an item from the website. This is a high level requirement. So for a business, for their highest business value, a customer wants to have a new e-commerce website to be launched. This is the epic. And this will be divided into different stories by the product owner. So you can see here, first time visitor can make the payment as a guest user without having to register. So whoever actually logs in to the e-commerce website as a guest also, they have to be make the payment and buy the products on the website. That's the smaller requirement of out of it. That's the title, but you can see the in detail user story, what the story says. As a first time visitor to the e-commerce website, I want to be able to buy a listed product so that I can use the product I buy. So if you observe, there are some key key things here. Like as a user, I want to do something so that I can get something. This is how a user story is defined. Let's go to next story and see. So, and each story has unique ID. You can see here, it has to be unique ID. So let's go to the second story. New user can register on the website. As a new user, I want to register on the website. So for that, what's the user story defined? So these are all defined by the product owner. So as a first time visitor, so if you observe, as a first time visitor, I want to be able to register on the website so that I can browse and buy listed products from the website. So this is the requirement, or this is the smaller requirement which we are calling it as a user story. And if you observe here, each story has something in the as a first time you visitor to the website. So which mentions that who is the user, and I want to be able to register on the website. A user, who is the user, and I want to be able to register on the website is an action to be performed so that I can browse and buy listed products on the website, so that we get some outcome. So each story, if you observe, is divided into three parts. Who is the user is mentioned, and what's the action performed, and upon the action performed, what is the outcome we are getting. That's how a user story is divided. So you can take another story. Let's take next one. Registered user can browse items listed. As a registered user, website user, I want to be able to browse listed products on the website so that I can make my choice and buy a listed product from the website. This is one requirement. And here also you can see as a some user, as registered website user here, I want to be able to browse. I am going to do some action so that I should be getting some outcome, is how a user story should be defined. This is how an epic is divided into different user stories. Each user story has a title which should be in short and precise, and user story description can go long, but it has to be divided into three parts. Who is the user, and what's the action done, and upon the action performed, what should be the outcome. This is how a user story should be defined, and each user story should have a unique ID assigned to it. And like this, we can have n number of stories for one epic. And we can see here status of the story. As this is not yet started, it is in status new or to do. So if you see here, if it started working, some Scrum team starts working on this story, then the status of it will be changed to in progress. And once the story is like completed according to the definition of done, then we can mark it as completed. Here, usually the product owner writes some acceptance criteria. So just now we learned like it it can be any acceptance criteria. Mostly it will one of the criteria will be no P1 and P2 bugs should be open for the story to be called as done. This is how a product backlog look like, defined by the product owner. Next comes sprint planning. So in the sprint planning, what should be done? Story estimation should be, so stories should be estimated. So stories are all like estimated already. You can see it here. So each story, like how many story points should be given for each story according to the complexity of that story is mentioned here. And also sprint planning will be done here, like according to these story points, in what will be the possible sprint to be done, in which sprint it is possible to be doable, the particular story will be mentioned here. So if you observe here, like the story is 8 points and it can be done in the first sprint. 3 story points, which is like less. Usually 3 is like done in a day or two, and 5 is maybe done in a weeks of time, and 5 is done in like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. 8 is done in 1 week to like 6 to 7 working days, like that. So it will we can assume like that. Actually these story points are given, though they are given according to the complexity. We can, if we want, we can think of or convert that into time minutes, some time minutes, and actually plan plan this sprint. So which story should go into which sprint, that will be decided here. And you can see here, according to the stories points for each story, so the sprint planning has been done. So which story has to be picked up in which sprint is done in the sprint planning. Then comes the task. So what are all the different tasks here? So what are all the QA tasks? So reviewing the user stories, creating test cases, reviewing the test cases, setting up environment, preparing test data, executing the test, automation setup, automation script, writing automation scripts. So once we get the bugs, we report the bugs and retesting the that bugs, running the regression testing suite, and finally providing the demo to the product owner will be the different task. So that task should also be mentioned um, as part of this process. So this entire file has the product backlog, sprint planning has to be there, and what are all the different tasks uh, done by the scrum team. And in the same way, like what are all the possible development team tasks? So reviewing the user stories, setting up the development environment, writing the code, getting it reviewed with the peers, executing unit test cases, and merging the code to the repository, creating builds, and if there are any defects raised by the QA team, so fixing those bugs will all be part of the task by the development team. So these are all will be part of the one agile process document. So this is all about like the complete agile or scrum processes, how it works. So just to reiterate, we have gone through the agile process, what's agile, and like what's the difference between earlier STLC waterfall model, and what's the difference between what's the difference between waterfall and agile. We have seen that. And what's an epic in agile, what is called an epic, and how what's called a story, how it is implemented, like breaking down into tasks is what we discussed. And then we discussed about roles. What are all the different scrum roles we have? We have product owner, scrum master, and scrum team are the only roles in the scrum process. And we learned about what is a DOR and DOD, definition of ready and definition of done. And we saw like the entire scrum process, how it works. At a glance, we saw with a chart or with a diagram, and then we have seen like what the Scrum board is. Scrum board actually gives us the status of the story and the particular task. And finally, we saw the advantages of using the Scrum process. This is what we covered in this session. And in the next session, we are going to discuss about a tool called Jira, which actually Jira is a agile management tool. So the entire process, whichever we talked today, so that can be automated. That can be automated using a tool. So we actually, after discussing, we had some file and actually putting everything in one file to track it, right? So instead of that, we can actually automate this entire process using a tool called Jira. So it is called like agile management tool. We can do like many activities in using Jira tool. Like we can create starting from creating epics, we can create stories, we can create tasks, we can actually create bugs. Also, we can perform the test management activities even, like uh, we can write the test cases, create the test cycles, execute the test cases, and then update the status of the test cases. All this can be done using the using software called Jira. That we'll discuss in the next session.